the graph of y equals 1 over negative 2x squared minus 0.5 was reflected in the x-axis, and its image is shown. Gotta be careful with wording. Like I said, in math, pay attention to every word when you read a question, because your brain will do certain things. Okay? Number one thing I would say your brain would probably do in this question is, in math questions, if you have an equation and you have a graph, 99% of the time they mean the same thing, right? This time they don't. They're telling us that this was the original graph, it was reflected, and now the image is shown. It doesn't actually affect anything in this question. I'm just pointing out like little tiny word differences in questions we have to be careful with. What is the equation? So first of all, this part here, is it horizontal or is it vertical?
Horizontal.
Over the x, think about going over the x, up and down, it'll be vertical.
Okay.
Right, because we're going over the x,
Okay.
right? So it's this direction that we're going, so that will be vertical. Okay? Now, what does that mean if it's vertical? Well, in algebraic form, vertical is outside the function, so it would be y equals negative f of x in function notation. The negative would be outside the function. So then the equation of this red graph, I would take my original equation, I'm going to put it in a big set of brackets. Here's my original equation. And according to a vertical reflection, you need to put a negative in front of the f of x stands for the original one. You're going to put a negative out in front of the original one. So this would be a correct answer. However, if this was multiple choice, they might have simplified it, or they might have put the answer in a different form. So what I'm going to do underneath here is I'm going to give you 3 different forms. They might all be right, they might all be wrong. You have to try to decipher, did I make a mistake or did I do simplification correct? Are you ready? Here's the blue one. I'm just going to put, there we go, that's what I'm going to do with my negative. Okay? I'm just going to put the negative with the 1. Green one. I'm going to put the negative everywhere. I'm going to put it on the top and the bottom. So that, and I'm going to distribute on the bottom. Okay. Black one. I'm just going to put it on the bottom. I'm going to distribute on the bottom. Okay. Are any of these right, or are they all wrong? You think one of them is right? You're like, well, if you're a teacher, you'd probably at least show us one thing that's right. It's good logic. I like it. Okay. What's going to happen? And you can vote for more than one. You can vote for all of them. If you think the blue one is right, I'm going to ask later, hey, put your hand up if you think the blue one is right. Well, there's always people that don't participate. I'm going to make you participate. You have to put your right hand up if you think the blue one is right. You have to put your left hand up if the blue one is wrong. And if you haven't made a decision, you have to put both hands up, stand up, and jump. So you will all probably be making a decision, I think. Okay? Right hand, you think it's right. Left hand, you think it's wrong for the blue one. Same thing, we're going to do that for the green one. We're going to do that for the black one. And if you have no hands up, that means you have to put both hands up, stand up, and jump. So I need you to participate. Do we need 30 seconds to look through each, or you think you're ready for all of them? Okay? So, Ready? Let's check the blue one. All right, a little mix. Okay, hands down. Green one. All right, mix of hands. Okay, yeah. I should have taken statistics here, but I didn't. Okay, black one. Okay, all right, so the results. The results are in. The first one is correct. The second one is wrong. And the third one is correct. So, some of you made mistakes. What mistake did you make? Well, you were actually mixing two common math concepts up. You were mixing up the concept of distribution and mixing up the concept of fractions and fraction multiplication. Now, to help us understand this, when we have a negative with a fraction, or negative outside the fraction, we can think of this as a -1, and I can write -1 like this, -1/1. That's equal to -1. If I write it like that, how do you multiply fractions? You multiply the tops, you multiply the bottoms. And if I multiply the top, can you see I'll get the blue one? And the blue one is correct. Now I could have had that negative on the bottom, and it would still be a -1 out in front. Now how do I multiply fractions? I multiply the tops, I multiply the bottoms, and on the bottom I'd have to distribute when I multiply that, and that would give me the black one. The common mistake that some of you did, and it's perfectly fine, but it's nice to see our mistakes, is when you saw the negative out in front, you thought about distributing it to everything. You multiplied the negative on the top, then multiplied the negative on the bottom, like, I'm going to negativize, I don't know if that's a word, negativize everything. But what are you doing if you do that? You're multiplying the top by -1 and the bottom by a -1. That makes the positive out in front. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. So that's why the second one is wrong. Okay. Questions to circle on this one are 7, 8, 9, and 12. Okay, and I want you to put a star beside 12 because it's going to be your first experience with a problem-solving question. So what we do is we go through our notes and we go through like key examples and key concepts, but we can't go through every single possibility of questions. And what the exam will have is a couple of questions, because I don't write your exam, someone else is writing it. So every year there's a couple of questions you're like, I never thought of wording a question that way. Now you have all of the tools to solve. There's never been a question on the exam where like, yeah, nobody in my class would ever get that because I didn't teach them the stuff they need for that. No. You have all the tools to be able to solve these questions. But some of them are going to be problem-solving questions that are going to cause you to have to think, and they're going to check if, like, level 1 understanding is like, I know how to do questions, but I don't really know what's going on, right? Those questions are checking, do you know how to do things, and do you really understand what's happening in the background? Can you analyze different situations and put them in? So make sure you try number 12. On Monday, we need 2 people who are responsible to remind me we should go over 12 on Monday. 2 people, any volunteers that think they can remember to remind me? 1, okay. Need 1 other, 2, we got 2 people. Okay, so you're gonna remind me. Let's work through the problem solving of number 12 on Monday, but I want you to try it first and struggle a little bit. That's part of problem solving. Don't AI it. You either are going to get it on your own or you're not going to get it. That's the only possible. There's no cheating. Right? We're going to go over it so you'll find out eventually. But I want you to do that struggle part because that's when you really find that you're going to understand some stuff. Okay.